Namaste.
Ramana, for the first time we have Ruth Chapman and Alan Chapman from the UK.
Happy to have you.
Thanks, Ramana.
And we're happy to see everyone again. I guess as a reminder is necessary that this will be, or is, the final session of Satsang for this season. Vivian and I are returning to our headquarters ashram in America on Monday. This is our spiritual headquarters, so to speak, but our formal headquarters is in America, at our other ashram. Any and all of you are welcome to certainly visit us anytime you would like to at our ashram in America. Be happy to have you. We only ask that you, if you're ever coming to America and would like to visit us there, that you notify our ashram in ample time in advance so we'd be prepared to serve you. We spend the majority of the year in America and come here sometime usually in November or early December and remain through the month of February or early March. It's always a delightful time to be here and to be with everyone here. And it's also delightful to be at our ashram in America as well. I happen to tend to get a little nostalgic when it comes time to leave either place. I love everyone here, our staff, and all of you who come and attend Satsang here each season. And I love our staff in America as well. We have, in my view, some of the most dedicated people in the world who serve to maintain Aham and our facilities and to serve all the people who come to partake of our programs. My dear friend Ganesha, who is a grand nephew of Bhagavan Ramana by blood, we just visited him yesterday at his home. He will be coming to America to be with us for a period of about 3 months this year. And he does just about every year, has been for the last 4 or 5 years, staying with us in America. He has often said that we, Aham, as an institution, as an organized school, if you will, are the only institution in the world who is presenting Bhagavan's pure teaching in the same mode and way and manner in which Bhagavan himself presented his teaching and the process of self-inquiry. The only one in the world. That is quite a statement. We're happy to serve in this function, to present the pure teaching of Bhagavan Ramana. It does not mean that there are not other teachers elsewhere, that they themselves do not present Bhagavan's teaching. We're not implying that. There are individual teachers who do so, I'm sure. I've heard as much. But the unique factor about Aham is that when someone comes in to participate in our presentation of Sri Bhagavan's teaching, we take a person that could be a rank beginner, one who has never even considered spiritual work, and we can be with them and present Sri Bhagavan's teaching to them so that they can practice the teaching, have the spiritual initiation into the awakened awareness of being, so that they are certain and definite as to what this awakened awareness is. And then we remain with them for as long as they feel that it is necessary for them to do so, or for us to do so, until they complete their sadhana, until they are living firmly established, awake and aware in the pure awareness of being, without any doubt or uncertainty about it. That is a unique process. That's what we offer. And I might add, that's what we have been offering and presenting to the world for the past 30 plus years. We celebrated our 30th year anniversary in August of 2008. We have been here in this ashram for 7 years, and we are looking at expanding our facility here in the sense of our activities in this facility to where we will have on staff here at all times a qualified trainer to take a person through the process, the spiritual process of awakening and abidance in the pure being of the self, and the use of the self-inquiry method to reestablish oneself in the pure awareness, should they ever slip out of it. So I urge you all to stay in touch with our ashram here or our facility in America. Any of you that may be returning next year and may be interested in our self-inquiry training. We call it ISIT, Intensive Self-Inquiry Training, as an 8-day workshop seminar, in which then following the 8 days there's a home study program that lasts for about 8 weeks, in which you have an advanced graduate that will be assigned to be with you and have weekly calls as well as reading assignments to make sure you are remaining in the purity of the awareness of pure being and know how to function in, as, and from that pure awareness of being. So Alan and Ruth, you have questions. Let's get to them here. Alan asks,
Sorry to interrupt. I no longer have any questions.
You did not have a question?
I did yesterday. I don't now.
You don't have a question now?
No.
You're already aware of how to proceed to get enlightenment?
Yes.
Huh? All right, very good. Tell me how to do it.
I can't tell you how to do it.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I can't tell you how to do it. The questions I had were answered in the hour of silence.
Okay. So, they were answered?
Yes.
So how is it you persist in not being in the illusion of being an individual?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Ah, very good.
It's got nothing to do with me.
I'm sorry?
It has nothing to do with me as an individual.
I see. Very good. All right, Ruth, have you had your questions answered too?
No.
All right. What practical guidance, to progress steadily, practically towards enlightenment, and what are the biggest obstacles starting off in this journey, and how to overcome them? Okay. What practical guidance to progress or to progress and steadily towards enlightenment? Enlightenment is our natural state of being. In this very moment, your very awareness, if you're able to hear what I'm saying, are you able to be aware that that fan is isolating?
Yes.
So just your awareness itself, by hearing, seeing, and knowing that I'm speaking with you, that awareness is what we normally call enlightenment. It's the abidance in this awareness, steadily, constantly, knowingly, that is all that is necessary, and not forgetting it. Now, what is it that would be the obstacle? What are the obstacles that start off? In starting off, it has to be overcome. Starting off, continuing, or anywhere along the line, there really is only one obstacle. Do you have any idea what that might be?
Yourself?
Well, now you're pointing here to your body. If you're meaning by your statement yourself to be your body, and are taking that to be yourself, then that is the obstacle. Or you might say it's your mind that is identified with your body, and taking your body to be who you are thinking and believing yourself to be. That is the obstacle. Very simply and very basically, your body is your possession. You who possess your body are faceless, formless, timeless, spaceless, pure being, infinite, and eternal. That means this being that you are may now be identified with your body and your mind as though your body and your mind are you. But your body is only a vehicle in time and space. You are that which is prior to time and space. You are pure being that was never born and will never die. Your body was born. The image that you may have of yourself and think yourself to be in association and conjunction with your body was born. It was born about the first time you started reasoning as a small infant or small child, a toddler. And it has continued to grow in conjunction with your body throughout the years. But that's not who you are, no more than your body is who you are. Your body and your mind are your possessions, and they are not you. So you can understand that if you have a possession, you certainly are not the possession itself. You're the one who has the possession. And you that have the possession is the awareness, the pure consciousness, the thoughtless, faceless, formless awareness that is timeless and spaceless. That's who and what you are. Now, what block or what obstacle do you have in remembering that is your mind in association and identification with your body, which is provides or produces, we'll say, the forgetfulness that you're not your body. The forgetfulness of the pure awareness that you are. Those are the obstacles. So you must continue to remember, prior to the body-mind, is the awareness that you are. And cease taking the body and the mind and time and space in which the body and the mind live and express, cease taking these to be who you are, but recognize that time and space occur in the mind. You do not occur in the mind. The mind occurs in you. And that's a major distinction that must not only be made, but must be constantly remembered. But it's even more than remembering, for remembering is a function of the mind itself. It must be your awakened awareness, the pure being of the very self that you are. And when you recognize, recognize, know again, originally this quality of pure being, abide in it as it, and function ever from it, that is enlightenment. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your question. All right, does anyone else have anything that is going on with you, or any question, or anything you'd like to share in your insight and your understanding with regard to your spiritual practice? We'll see what consciousness may offer in the way of an explanation. I have no answers, but the being in which I live may. Okay? Okay, great. Asks, in relation to the talk the other day, I accept that the world of my perception is not as real as it appears to be, and that there is no lasting happiness to be found there. That the really important question is, to whom is it appearing real or unreal? That bringing awareness into the egoic feeling sense of me is the means of its dissolution and return to its own source in pure awareness. Concurrently, abiding as expansive, clear awareness to whatever degree is possible. Please correct me if I misunderstand. Okay, let's look at it point by point. In relationship to the talk the other day, I accept that the world of my perception is not as real as it appears to be, and that there is no lasting happiness to be found there. That part is correct. Not only is it not real, it is only an appearance. It is always only an appearance in the consciousness that you are in your own mind. And correct, there is no lasting happiness to be found in the appearance, objectively, that is appearing in the world. Happiness is only in the awareness itself, the pure existence consciousness that you are, the pure being that you are, and is to be taken into the world you might say, shared with those who are appearing in your world, and not to be found in the world from the world. Once you're getting that, you will be able to contribute very wisely and very importantly to what appears to be this world of time and space. And that the really important question is, to whom is it appearing, real or unreal? It's appearing real to your mind. And it's being seen through by the very self that you actually are, to what extent you're able to see through it. To what extent you are abiding in the pure awareness of being, remaining in the pure awareness of being, as the pure awareness of being, and no longer identified with your mind as having anything to do with anything other than the past, and being an instrument in the present when there is a time that situations need to be seen and understood, to let go of the mind and what it is interpreting things to be, for the self that you are is very capable of seeing what is occurring in the present moment and living clearly and consciously in the present moment, where the mind is not capable of doing that. The mind that you take yourself to be, if you are taking yourself to be, is not even capable of knowing the truth. Only the self knows the truth. The mind that you think you are is nothing but a character role living in time and space. It's just like a character in a play. Imagine, if you will, any character in any play. Now, the character in the play is played by some actor or actress playing the role of the character. Are you with me? Can the character in the role know anything at all? It's just written in. It has no existence other than the existence in the playwright who wrote the role, and in appearing to exist by the audience who are identified with the character, but in fact the character does not even exist. It's like the character in a novel that you might read, an interesting novel. You become identified with the character role in the novel, and in identifying with it, you're looking forward to see if the character makes it through the next adventure or not. But in fact, there is no character to make it through the next adventure other than in your own mind or in the mind of the writer of the novel. Are you getting it? So that character cannot know anything. Only you, the actor playing the role of the character that you're taking yourself to be, can know the truth, not the character. All right? Are you getting it? Okay. And you're getting it that bringing awareness into the egoic feeling sense of me is the means of its dissolution and return to its own source and pure awareness. Well, no, that's not true. There is no such being as the egoic me. Again, as the character that you're taking yourself to be. There is no such entity. So to bring awareness into the character that doesn't exist is not going to make the character exist. The being already exists, and the character never existed in the first place and will never exist other than as a character. So that part of your statement is not true. Are you with me?
Can I comment or ask?
Certainly you can comment.
I understand what you've said, but to the extent that I'm unconsciously identified as being an individual, then that's the extent it could be useful to put awareness on who am I, who is thinking I'm an individual, this sense of me.
The character role that you are taking yourself to be can never, as the character, know the self that you are.
But the awareness of this sense of me, that awareness itself isn't the character, the awareness is awareness.
The awareness of the sense of me is just a thought. The awareness of me, pure being, is not a thought. The I am is not a thought. The thought I am is a thought, but the I am is not a thought. You as I am are not a thought. You're not occurring in your mind. Your mind is occurring in you.
But the reality seems to be that myself, to whatever extent, and most other beings that appear to exist are identified.
They what?
They're identified.
They may be identified, but they're unconscious.
Exactly.
But that does not, because they're unconscious, that doesn't make them real, because it's just like a character, again, like a character in a book. All of the characters written in a book are not real other than in the mind of the author, and they may be real in your own mind as you're reading about their dramas, but they're not real, they're just thoughts.
But isn't that unreality realized by purging that unconsciousness, by bringing consciousness to unconsciousness?
What purging is necessary when you're abiding in the pure awareness that you actually are? There is no purging necessary. It's only the getting it that thought is just thought. The thought of sugar is not the sweetness to which it is pointing, that it is indicating. There is no sweetness in the thought sugar.
My understanding is that the reason I'm not entirely residing in pure being already is because there is this unconscious identification.
Well, I can understand that may be what you're considering to be your understanding. But in that sense, I'd have to say your understanding is incorrect. You are conscious in this moment. You just don't realize that the consciousness that you are in this moment is not what you're thinking yourself to be.
And how to realize it if I'm not realizing it?
I'm sorry?
How to realize it if I'm not realizing it?
How are you to realize it? Well, just let go of who you're taking yourself to be. Be that which you actually are, not identify with what you're not. Bhagavan Ramana very often said the problem with most is being identified with who we're not, taking that to be who we are. That's identifying with the body and the mind as though the body and the mind is what we are. We can be identified with the body and the mind, incorrectly assuming the body and the mind to be who and what we are, and the character role that we're identified with since we were toddlers, let's say, living in time and space. The image that we take of ourselves to be, the being that we believe ourselves to be, with all of our history, with all of the events, with our education, with all of our relationships, with all that has gone on in our memory, taking that to be who we are. But that's not who we are. We are the being that is identified with all of that, but that's not who we are. That's the character role that we're identified with. Awaken to the very awareness that you are, which is just pure being, just pure I am, faultless awareness, faceless, formless, timeless, spaceless awareness. That's what you are. Not the form that you're taking yourself to be, not the history that you're taking yourself to be, not the image that you're taking yourself to be. That's not who you are. That's not who any of us are. So concurrently abiding as expansive, clear awareness to whatever degree is possible, yes, that's correct. To abide as expansive, clear awareness. That's the process. By dropping all identification with the body-mind, all identification with time and space. Time and space are in the mind. You're not the mind. The mind is occurring in you. You're not occurring in the mind. You see? Let go and be. Let go and be that which you are. Are you ready to do so? It's entirely up to you. It's in your hands. Would you like your paper back? This is the process that everyone has to look at and see. The misconception that we all tend to live through various phases of our sadhana, our spiritual practices, to incorrectly assume that the entity that we have been identifying with and taking ourselves to be throughout time and space, the self-image that we take ourselves to be, the history of all of our events, all of our experiences, all of our adventures, and all of our likes and dislikes. This is what we take ourselves to be. But that is not who we are. We have a body, we have a mind, we have a self-image, we have a history pertaining to the body, mind, and history. But that history, that self-image, that entire scenario is not who we are. It's not what we are. We are pure being. Unborn awareness. Prior to and beyond time and space. But the majority are identified with time and space, with the mind of time and space. and all of the events occurring in time and space, as though time and space are actualities. We don't recognize that time and space are entirely conceptual appearances, appearing on this awareness that we are. This awareness that we are, Bhagavan uses as an analogy, a metaphor many times, a very good one. Two metaphors, really, that are equally good. One is the screen of a cinema. I'm sure that everyone here has been to a cinema, to a movie. You arrive at the cinema before the show starts. While you're sitting, waiting for the show to start, looking straight ahead, what you see is the screen where the pictures are going to appear. When the cinema begins, you no longer see the screen. It's hidden, it's covered by the pictures in the cinema. You no longer give the screen any consideration. It is of no importance, apparently. And yet it is of all importance, because without the screen, you would not be able to see the pictures, the lights and dark and shadows of the pictures. Because we get identified with the storyline that is contained in the movie, and we forget the basis upon which the storyline is appearing as a movie show. Well, in a similar sense, that's exactly what is going on with us all right now. We do not see the self that we actually are, on which is the lights and shadows of the mind are appearing as events occurring in time and space that we call this world. It is all going on right now on this awareness, if you will, this screen of awareness that we all are. This is what we are, this pure awareness. Another metaphor that Bhagavan and others use, other sages, is a mirror. The images appearing in a mirror do not in any way affect the mirror, and as long as the images are moving or passing in front of the mirror will reflect perfectly those images. But it's not affected by those images. In exactly the same way, the mirror of our own being, the pure awareness that we are, reflects, if you will, the events that are occurring on the surface of the mirror, but those events do not affect the mirror. Now, the mind records, if you will, those events. So the events are projected or registered, if you will, on the mirror, but the mind records those events and then repeats those events again and again and again. But they only repeat, the mind can only do that in the present moment. Just like in front of the mirror, you can only see in the present moment what is appearing in the mirror in the present moment. Likewise, as far as awareness is concerned, we're all only aware in this moment. We cannot be aware in any other moment. This moment, as it is, is what's so. Nothing else is so in this moment. We may take things to be so out of our mind, because the mind, which sees from the past, can also only think in this moment. You cannot have a thought yesterday. You can only have a thought in this moment. You cannot have a thought tomorrow. You can only have a thought in this moment. When tomorrow becomes today and this moment, you can have a thought, but you can't have it tomorrow. You can only have it now. Likewise, as far as events in life is concerned, we can only have the experiences of life now, in this moment. We can think about the past in this moment, which is what we often do by bringing in thoughts of the past that is occurring in this moment, and then what's occurring in this moment may be something that we do not care to have to be experiencing. We would like for it to be something else that we experienced yesterday or last week or last month. But what's occurring in this moment is what's occurring, and if we try to change it, rather than accepting what's occurring in this moment, we put ourselves out of alignment with what's occurring in this moment. And in not accepting what's occurring in this moment, we have conflict with regard to what's occurring in this moment. When we can reach that quality of wisdom to know that if we accept what is occurring in this moment, as it is occurring in this moment, we will be at peace with regard to what's occurring in the moment, and not at the effect of what's occurring in this moment. It's very basic, but it's also very much overlooked. Very seldom is it seen, simply because most live in the past. They live in memories in the past and wish to live in the memories and project those memories into the future, not realizing that the mind lives in the past. It records the past, so to speak, and projects in the present what it would like to have now or in the future, not realizing that the past is not real. Only this present moment is real. Wisdom is to come into the recognition, the insight, that the world of time and space, which is taken to be cause, which is taken to be primary and powerful and what's real, and that the self, which is taken to be at effect and secondary, powerless and meaningless, those notions are reversed, and that's living in ignorance. And as long as we live in the ignorance, that's the one source and cause of all sorrow and suffering, all limitation, all sorrow, and all suffering. And we will continue to suffer. We will continue to live in limitation, sorrow, and suffering. For as long as we live in this ignorance of taking the world to be real and the cause, and taking the self to be secondary and at effect. It's very simple. But it is also very much overlooked. How to be free? Just get it. Stop seeing everything through the eyes of the mind. We ordinarily look at everything through the mind. We see through the eyes of the mind rather than seeing through the eyes, in quotation, of the self. Seeing through the being of the self that we actually are. When we see through the being of the self that we are, freedom, peace, joy is realized as our infinite and eternal nature. Very simple. All that is required is to see what is just now being shared. Nothing major otherwise is required. Just get it. Stop resisting. That's the mind that resists because it wants to be right. It wants to see from the past and bring the past in the present as though the past can change and improve the present, when in fact the present is perfect as it is, exactly as it is in this instant. It's always already perfect as it is. If we're abiding in the pure awareness of being, in the thoughtless, faceless, formless awareness prior to time and space, there's no problem. But to what extent we're identified with time and space as though they are real, we will have problems. been a pleasure to be here again this season. And let me express my appreciation to all of you who have chosen to attend Satsang here at home. For it is your being here that makes what we do worthwhile. Thank you so much. Namaste.